Welcome to another edition of Weekly Digest, a government information agency program that keeps you informed on what the administration has been doing that will create a better environment for citizens. I'm your host, Ursula Ramdayal. Thank you for joining us. In this week's presentation for the period March 8 to 14, 2014, more stakeholders urge passage of anti-money laundering bill, Agriculture Minister slams calls for end to sugar industry, and Guyana Revenue Authority goes online. The national consultations on the anti-money laundering legislation saw massive participation when it took place at the Guyana International Conference Center, with stakeholders urging the bill's passage in the interests of the country. Government's campaign to gain consensus on the highly debated anti-money laundering bill received overwhelming response at the Guyana International Conference Center as citizens gathered for the consultation.
I'm from the Kingdom of Dominion Ministries International Church. I would like to ask a simple question. After I would have heard the President's speech, I would like to know where would we go from here after he would have tried his utmost in cooperating with the opposition.
Guyana is the second country blacklisted from among 56 for not complying with international standards. Listening to presentations by President Donald Ramotar and other cabinet members, stakeholders reiterated their call for the bill to be passed.
Well, if this bill not got to pass, what will happen with our rice farmer? We can't work in money. How about tractor? How about parts? We can't do any kind of big business. How we go do? What really are going? This bill got to pass.
Citizens have indicated that they are already feeling the negative effects of non-passage of the bill, and some expressed fear that businesses will be affected and cost of living increased. Signatures were affixed to a petition reinforcing the call for immediate passage of the bill. Despite the many challenges the sugar industry, which employs close to 20,000 people, is currently facing, it remains viable, and Minister of Agriculture Dr. Leslie Ramsamy is optimistic that for this year, Gaisuku will meet the target of 216,000 tons.
Given an update on Gaisuku's operations, Minister Ramsamy said currently all 7 factories are functioning with 18,000 tons of sugar produced up to March 10. The minister said that most of the estates are meeting their target because of good weather pattern.
Some of the factories with which we have had issues with are functioning relatively well at this time. So Enmore, which was one of the earlier estates that started production this crop, is about 4,600 tons. And Skeldon, which was one of the last of the 7 factories to begin working, is at around 1,600 tons.
Meanwhile, speaking on the issue of government's support to the sugar industry, Minister Ramsamy said the administration will remain committed towards supporting the industry. He said the decision by government to support the industry is justifiable, given the fact that the industry has for decades lent support to other sectors when they were failing.
Those of us thinking that sugar is dead are dead wrong.
The minister pointed out that in many communities, drainage and irrigation capacity has been boosted because of Gaisuku's pumps. He said government will continue to build sugar to be a lead industry and will work with the employees to ensure that the industry continues to provide employment and economic and social gains for Guyana and its people.
Guyana Revenue Authority's new pilot online internet and telebanking tax payment system and the automated driver's license system are intended to provide more convenience and security for clients as the agency progresses in modernizing its operations. Officials of the GRA explained that the technological move is with the intention to avoid the upcoming congestion, which is expected with the approaching deadline for submission of income, property tax and other returns on April 30, 2014. The program is expected to be extended to other regions in the near future and not restricted to the GRA headquarters.
The GRA takes on a new information technologically advanced system, which is called the TRIPS. And I think it's going to be the TRIPS 2. You're going to see major improvements in the way that we roll out the tax system to you, the taxpayers out there. We're all doing it in the interest of getting you to have better service so you can be better compliant, and for those who are not compliant, for them to get wise to the fact that they have to comply.
It has, however, been made clear that for now, driver's licenses, conductors and hire cars and provisional licenses, the cardboard licenses will remain the same until the system is fully automated. The price will also remain the same until more features are included on the licenses. Security features have been improved on the automated licenses, which are expected to be welcomed by taxpayers, and there is the hope to reduce the offering and taking of bribes with this implementation.
You would be able to not only pay your taxes through the internet, but also make submissions of your returns, make submission of your C-72 declarations, make submission even of your employer's submissions that you do every month. So you will have a lot of facilities that will enhance the way you do business at GRA. And of course, as Marcia said, there will be even limited interaction or intermingling with the GRA staff, making it less likely that you would have to indulge in any kind of unhealthy practices with us.
Additionally, taxpayers who may not be able to use a computer or telephone to transact business will be able to use the over-the-counter service of the nearest Bill Express location. Payments can also be made at 3 banks where citizens taxpayers have accounts, namely the Demerara Bank, Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry, and the Republic Bank. Stay tuned. More of the Weekly Digest after the break.
The modernization of the Justice Administration System, the MJAS project, has been completed through a loan from the Inter-American Development Bank. Achievements made under the project include amended and new laws, training for personnel within the sector, reduction of the severe case backlog, the refurbishing of courts, increased numbers of judicial officers and training, publication of law reports and their indices online, the establishment of a DPP office in Berbice, computerization of several connected systems, among other aspects.
Guyana as a tourist destination continues to receive international acclaim. The reputable National Geographic Traveler has named Destination Guyana as one of the must-see places in 2014. The renowned magazine said Guyana is the best-kept secret in South America with stunning natural wonders. This year, increased focus will be placed on enhancing the standards within the industry, focusing on tourism products and services, multi-destination itinerary planning, events management, ecotourism, and sustainable principles and guidelines, as well as a grading scheme which will be developed for the industry.
In an effort to better their lives, more than 42,000 pensioners are currently enjoying a 25% increase in their pension. This is in addition to the waiver of the Guyana Water Incorporated's bill. And in another attempt to enhance their lives, over 8,500 pensioners are benefiting from $20,000 subsidy yearly towards their electricity bills with the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated.
Guyana has achieved universal primary education. The focus is now on achieving universal secondary education by 2016. This has already been achieved in some regions, but more work has to be done in regions 1, 7, 8, and 9. There are plans to build and extend more schools with the intent that every single child of secondary age will be able to access a 5-year secondary education program in each region.
As government continues to modernize the justice sector, several magistrates' courts were renovated and constructed, with the latest being Wales.
Government's investment of US $25 million over the last 7 years to modernize the justice sector represents the unassailable commitment of the administration to resourcing the judiciary. This implementation of the Justice Modernization Program, which was made possible through an Inter-American Development Bank loan, came to an end with the recommissioning of the Wales Magistrates Court in Region 3.
I welcome this facility. I hope that it will be used properly, that those who are charged with the administration of justice and those who are in charge with presiding over this court will ensure that its facilities are used for the benefit of the people of this country. I remember coming here as a law clerk to Mr. Doodnath Singh in the old building of that court, but a different version of it, to do Mr. Singh was doing a murder case, and where the bar table was at that time and where the magistrate sat is referred to as the well of the court. Well, there was no well of the court, there was a gaping hole. And Mr. Dudnal Singh, when he was cross-examining the witnesses, could not have moved from the bar table to come to the inner court, to the well of the court, because he could have fallen through. That is where we have come from. And I invite any one of you to travel right across the length and breadth of this country and look at any courtroom, any court building, and see if you see anything remotely resembling that state of degradation.
To this end, almost every court building in Guyana, stretching from Crabwood Creek to Charity and Lethem to Linden, has been refurbished, repaired, expanded, or rehabilitated. In most instances, new buildings were erected, as in the case of Wales. Work on the Linden and Lethem courts are being completed, and the family court in Georgetown will soon be launched.
We believe in the government that there is a strong connection between economic advancement and the justice system. In fact, I am of the firm view that intellectual paralysis, social stagnation, economic degradation will befall any society that, however in subtle form, attempt to deny its people freedom and justice. And I am fortified in that view by looking at human experience itself. Human history is littered with instances where the absence of freedom results in economic stagnation in a country.
More than 100 pieces of new legislation were drafted and passed, and 12 volumes of the Law Reports of Guyana were revised and published, dating from 1977 to 2007. The laws of Guyana have also been revised after a 34-year hiatus and are at present available for purchase, while an automatic voice recording system will be established in the High Court.
Government is closer to realizing the completion of the $3.6 billion East Demerara Water Conservancy Hope Canal project that is hoped to be the solution for flood relief on the east coast of Demerara. Another component, the head regulator, is to be commissioned shortly following the recent completion and commissioning of Component 2, the $350 million Hope Bridge, on February 15.
The head regulator, which is by the Conservancy, what is the so-called BK contract, is approximately 98% complete. As we speak, Mr. Wordsworth and the engineers are on site making arrangement for the commissioning of the head regulator. I am hopeful that in a couple of weeks' time, once all the arrangements are made, that we will commission the head regulator. There's the major structural elements are in place.
Ongoing is the current installation of the wedge that opens the doors and some landscape work around the structure that remains to be done. Meanwhile, significant progress has also been made in relation to the completion of the high-level sluice.
In terms of the high-level sluice, or the so-called Courtney Bend structure, it is being, as we speak, the progress has been made, and up to the end of last Friday, we were at 78% completion. So significant progress have been made at that site. And the major the major elements in that construction have been completed.
The channel remains at 95% completion. The small aspects remaining are those that have to be excavated on completion of the sluice and the head regulator. In the aftermath of the 2005 flood, the East Demerara Water Conservancy Hope Canal project was chosen as the most suitable relief option towards the prevention of flooding in the Mahaika-Maikoni area. With a membership of over 4,420 citizens across the country, the Community Policing Organization has emerged as the largest volunteer-driven body in Guyana.
In celebration of its 30th anniversary, the Community Policing Organization of Guyana hosted its annual parade in Bartica Region 7, where hundreds of members from Regions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10 reaffirmed their commitment to ensuring safer communities.
I want to take this opportunity to remind us of our objective in serving our community, and that is to develop a neighborhood consciousness of the need for mutual cooperation and understanding of law and order, to assist the local police as far as possible in the suppression and detection of crime, thus making the area a better place to live. Increasing understanding and appreciation of the role of the police to provide residents with a local outpost away from the police station in helping them to discuss common problems, and to develop a closer intergroup relationship with area residents, and to develop an awareness to improve the neighborhood and not to destroy it. Community policing plays an important role in the fight against crime. Community policing plays an important role in patrolling our community to ensure that we can suppress crime. Community policing also plays an important role in to help with the many social difficulties that our community has been faced with. And we are happy that you have made your time available. We are happy that you, the members of community policing, are determined to come out in your respective communities, wherever you are, to ensure that our communities are safe.
The government of Guyana has recognized the important role that community policing plays in augmenting the efforts of the Guyana Police Force. This year's activities are held under the theme, Safeguarding Communities Through Strengthened Community Policing Leadership.
During the year 2013, the Ministry of Home Affairs, in collaboration with the Guyana Police Force, was able to revise the constitution of the Community Policing Organization of Guyana. We were able to divide the division, the police division, into smaller CPG divisions. The reasons for this is to ensure that the divisional executive has total control of the divisions that comes under their charge, and to reduce the cost of persons of the divisional executive moving from one end of the division to the other, which is very costly.
The Community Policing Organization of Guyana will be embarking on a number of other initiatives, including the establishment of youth clubs, for which funds will be made available under the 2014 national budget. The Ministry of Home Affairs is encouraging the business communities, NGOs, and other entities to get on board with this initiative.
There appears to be a resolution towards the issue of accommodating Guyanese law students at the Hugh Wooding Law Faculty for the upcoming academic year. This issue was addressed at the 25th Intersessional CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The issue was thoroughly discussed, and the arrangements under which the University of Guyana, the University of the West Indies, and the Council of Legal Education was reviewed, and it was felt that it would be unfair and indeed a violation of the legitimate expectation of the students from the University of Guyana who would be graduating for the academic year 2014 not to be admitted to the Hugh Wooding Law School. Therefore, the meeting resolved that the chairman, Prime Minister Mr. Raul Gonzalez, will write a letter to the Council of Legal Education informing them that the students, the Guyanese, 25 Guyanese students, should be admitted for the academic year 2014.
Legal Affairs Minister Nandlal added that the letter will also call for a review of the provision of legal education in the region to address the expanded need for accommodation, intake, and education.
Quite apart from the 25 Guyanese students who are going to be admitted as a result of that letter, hopefully, you have also students from Belize and students who are doing LLB program under the University of London external program throughout the region who also need accommodation at the law school. So all these matters are going to be dealt with over the next year or so, but of immediate concern is the admission of the 25 students from the University of Guyana into the Wooding Law School, and that letter will address that issue.
The fate of Guyanese law students was recently put in limbo after the Hugh Wooding Law School indicated that it would be unable to accommodate additional students from the University of Guyana's law program. As part of an agreement between UWE's Council for Legal Education and the UG, every year 35 automatic placements were offered by the Council for Legal Education to UG for entry into the law school in Trinidad. The Council, however, took the decision recently that UG's 2014 batch will not be guaranteed any place at the institution.
Stay tuned for more of the Weekly Digest after the break.
Ghana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2050. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in the 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered.
Guyana as a tourist destination continues to receive international acclaim. The reputable National Geographic traveler has named Destination Guyana as one of the must-see places in 2014. The renowned magazine said Guyana is the best-kept secret in South America with stunning natural wonders. This year, increased focus will be placed on enhancing the standards within the industry, focusing on tourism products and services, multi-destination itinerary planning, events management, ecotourism, and sustainable principles and guidelines, as well as a grading scheme which will be developed for the industry.
Guyana has achieved universal primary education. The focus is now on achieving universal secondary education by 2016. This has already been achieved in some regions, but more work has to be done in regions 1, 7, 8, and 9. There are plans to build and extend more schools with the intent that every single child of secondary age will be able to access a 5-year secondary education program in each region. The modernization of the Justice Administration System, the MJAS project, has been completed through a loan from the Inter-American Development Bank. Achievements made under the project include amended and new laws, training for personnel within the sector, reduction of the severe case backlog, the refurbishing of courts, increased numbers of judicial officers and training, publication of law reports and their indices online, the establishment of a DPP office in Berbice, computerization of several connected systems, among other aspects. In an effort to respond more promptly to citizens, the Home Affairs Ministry has launched an online crime reporting system which allows citizens who possess or have access to cell phones, computers, or other devices with internet connections to report criminal activities. Citizens can get instant access to security personnel on BlackBerry Messenger via 280-4E429. Reports of corruption can also be made on www.ipaidthebribe.com. These reports can be made anonymously.
March 6, 2014 marked 17 years since the nation took Cheddi Jagan on his journey to Babu John, the final journey. This date is a sacrosanct reminder to all Guyanese to intellectually involve themselves with his political and economic ideas so that they can spread these ideas throughout the society. In recent times, we see some critics making weak attempts at discrediting the work of former President of Guyana, Dr. Cheddi Jagan. For instance, the critics noted that Jagan was stuck with Marxism and communism, which represent a faulty set of ideas that heaped nastiness upon Guyana. In fact, the critics proclaimed that Jagan's Marxism and communism polluted his political approach that eventually produced corruption, the fallout with the United States, and the lack of national unity. But this link between Marxism and communism and corruption is false, as corruption could happen within any political and economic ideology at work. For instance, Nigeria, certainly not a communist country with any level of Marxist ideas in action, was the third most corrupt country out of 102 countries in 2006, according to Transparency International. Then there is the United States of America, certainly not a communist country. In November 2010, the United States House Ethics Committee found Representative Charles Rangel guilty on 11 ethics violations. 11 ethics violations. In March 2010, the U.S. House of Representatives unanimously impeached federal judge for Eastern Louisiana, G. Thomas Porteous, for corruption and perjury. There are numerous other examples to show that political and economic ideology has little or no link with corruption. Therefore, Jagan's ideology, whether Marxism or communism, had no link with any alleged corruption that might have occurred during his tenure. There also are some critics who believe that Jagan's Marxism contributed to the decline of Guyana, especially as it led to a fallout with the mighty United States. Jagan became problematic to the West, not so much because he embraced Marxist ideology, but more so because he backed a neutralist position on the Cold War and thereby did not side with the mighty United States. Then there is the other criticism without basis that Jagan and the PPP weakened the development of national unity. Cheddi Jagan pointed to the usefulness of cultural differences in the search for national unity in this country. He noted that race was never a serious problem in Guyana. He believed that the problem was one of class. In Guyana's early history, the types of job that Indian Guyanese and African Guyanese did produced and reproduced racial bitterness and cultural loss to both groups, and which worked to divide and exploit the working class Guyanese people as a whole. And history will remember Cheddi Jagan as a world leader who struggled for social progress among the dispossessed and the disadvantaged, who vigorously implanted progressive political thought, who was a resolute builder of political movements, who forged the political labor nexus, that is the political labor connection or link, who was an unwavering Caribbean integrationist, who was a true internationalist in his unrelenting promulgation of the new global human order, and whose authentic local legacy has to be his tireless fight for national unity, working class unity, and racial unity in Guyana. I thank you.
And with those speeches, we have come to the end of this edition of Weekly Digest. But before we go, here's a recap of the highlights. More stakeholders urge the passage of the anti-money laundering bill. Agriculture Minister slams calls for end to sugar industry. And the Guyana Revenue Authority goes online. Please note that Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website, www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at ginagovgy@gmail.com. Join us again next week as we highlight more of government's programs and policies which are enhancing the lives of Guyanese. I'm Ursula Ramdayal. Do have a safe week ahead. Goodbye.